All right, so we will explore the recent price action of Bitcoin here. So this is the bigger picture. This is a one-day chart with Bitcoin. And this is a leading diagonal, you can see here, 1A chart. And this doesn't really have the highest probabilities because of the shallow wave 2 here. But it's still a possibility, and we need to be aware of it. So be mindful of the bounce here if we get to that in here in wave 4. But this is on a one-day chart, and this is one scenario. This is bullish since we are looking for a final wave up, wave 5 up here. And then we have the ABC scenario for a bearish scenario, basically. So here we need to look at it in a context of this being a wave A. This is on a 2-week chart. So this is counting this move down to wave A, and then we are now finishing wave B here. And if we have this scenario in mind, then we can count the recent move up as a B, C scenario. So we are basically looking for finishing here wave B, and then we're going down very deep. So then we are counting this as A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish wave B here. And we finish wave C of this lower degree. So this is bullish in a sense that we are still looking for completion of wave 5. And as I just mentioned, this is also bullish in the sense that we're looking for completion of this wave 5. And as I mentioned here, this scenario was this one that we are looking for completion of wave 5. So this is also bullish. Then we are exploring the bearish possibilities here. And that is if we have a finished wave C here. This is on a 4-hour chart. And we are now in a leading diagonal wave 1. But this doesn't really have the highest probabilities either because of the time here between wave 3 and 2. And you can see here wave 3 is almost the 6 times the length of wave 1 here. But if we take fibs here, you can see that wave 3 is, it's over 700 fib times. So wave 3, basically wave 3 it does not have the right proportions to this look. Wave 3 should have ended like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, more like you see the length of wave 2. So it's not a good proportion, but it still exists as an option. And this channel here is basically the invalidation for this to not be a leading diagonal, because a leading diagonal needs the lines. You can see here the channel for the leading diagonal. So the lines needs to be going inwards, and this is a straight channel. So if we hit this red dotted line, we have invalidated this diagonal, because then the lines aren't moving inwards anymore. So then it's not a diagonal. Simple as that. And after wave 5 here, presumably, I'm going to move this down here, is finished, then this is the most probable target, and that is the 78.6% fib, if I'm not mistaken. 78.6 fib, because that's the most probable target for retracement after a leading diagonal, according to Frost and Prechter book, the Elliott Wave Principle. So here we are basically looking for wave 5 to finish and then a move upward. So in short term, this is also bullish, but I mean in the long term, this is a very bearish scenario. But we're looking for a bounce here as well. And then we have this scenario, which is like an impulse down. So here we're not counting it as a diagonal here. Instead, we're counting it as an impulse. And it doesn't really work out well at all. But I mean, we can force a count here just to have it as an option. But here we're going to count this first wave as a wave 1, but this doesn't count well as an impulse. It counts better as a correction. But still, stranger things have happened. So this is wave 1, and then we have a WXY into wave 2, and then 1 of a lower degree, so 1, 2, and then we have another 1, 2 of the lower degree of this count, and then we have another 1, 2, and lower degree of that count. So basically we're stacking 1, 2s on top of each other. And this doesn't really have a good probability either, because of we hit, so here we hit the, here we didn't hit it, but here I think we hit it, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the 86 here, you can see that wave 2 here hit the 86, and that's a very uncommon target for a wave 2, which drastically lowers the probabilities of this being a wave 2. So that's more common for wave Bs or wave X. So then you could argue, like, if we put this over here then instead, but then the time between wave 1 and wave 2 would be crazy long. So then we have like over 1400 fib time for wave 2, and I mean, yeah, it doesn't look good for that option. But still, as I said, stranger things have happened, but it's very improbable that this is a high probability count. And also here we have a WXY into the second wave here. So if you count this as a 1 and then a 2, and then we are looking now for much lower prices as a 1, a 2, 3, 4, 5. And the same issue here, if we put the 2 here, as I just explained, and take the fib time, you can see that it's over 900 fib time. And I mean, wave 2 is usually around, after 38.2 to 300, 200, something like that. If we're closing up on 400, then it's not really probable. And here we have over 900. So yeah, it's not really probable, just the time aspect of it. And also here in wave 1, we are counting this as leading expanding diagonal. And an expanding diagonal is the most uncommon structure basically in Elliott waves. It's a last resort. If everything fails, then we can fall back on an expanding diagonal. So we have this as a wave 1. I mean, it's valid to count, and it fills all the rules for counting, but it's very improbable. Together with this time aspect as well, that this is a valid count. So this is also a bearish option. So as I mentioned, all the bearish options doesn't really have a high probability, but they exist, are important to know about. And then we move on to the bullish options, which looks better. So here we have wave 3, looking for a wave 4 and a completion of wave 5. Of a lower degree, because we're counting this degree. So this is 1, 2, and then we move on to 3, 4, so way higher prices. And here we have a W, a triangle in wave X, which is pretty uncommon. Wave X doesn't really have triangles, but it's a good count and a good fit for this. You could count it as a combination of some sort, but the result is the same basically. So WX, and then we are looking here for A, B, and then a wave C to complete wave Y in a flat. So if we have a sideways correction, wave Y can't be a zigzag. It can only be a triangle or a flat. So here we are looking for a flat, but for this to be a wave C, then this, as I mentioned before, needs to be some kind of an impulse. And the only impulse that would fit was leading diagonal, expanding, and as I mentioned, it doesn't really have the highest probability. So yeah, It's possible, but still. And then we invalidate also this count because we are touching the 61.8 fib taking from the wave 2 here, which it validates basically a wave 4. So yeah, if this would be possible, then it doesn't look good, because you can see here, if this is wave 1, 2, this wave 3 is way too short to be a wave 3, and then 4 and 5, and it's very uncommon. So, but yeah, we need to be aware of it. And then we move on to this. This is like a bigger picture, a more time-consuming scenario. So here we have an A, B, down into a C. So A, B, C, the B is a triangle here, for a wave W. And then we have A, B, C for an expanded flat to an X. And after that, we will finish either with a triangle or a flat, as I just mentioned, because Y can't be a zigzag in a sideways correction. So this has a higher chance of being the correct count. And we need to make sure that this doesn't go lower than 161.8, because you can see here at 161.8, an expanded flat is very improbable. It lowers the chances of it being correct as it's almost non-existent for an expanded flat to hit 161.8, or I mean not non-existent, but you understand, it's not common at all. It's very uncommon. So I basically have that as an invalidation. So we need to not hit this for this count to be an option, and this is I would say a high probability. And then we have the final count, and this is also looking for an expanded flat. But this, I mean, this isn't really an expanded flat because we have a WXY, so we can't really say it's an expanded flat. But it's a combo that behaves like an expanded flat, except for the last Y wave, because here the difference here is that we have an A, B, and then a C to finish, and C needs to be an impulsive wave. It can't be a corrective wave of any sorts. That it can be in a way Y. So that's the main difference here between these counts. So if we get this scenario and move up to wave B, we need to make sure of the ending here. If this is impulsive, then we can argue that this is the proper count. But I mean that's in like a couple of weeks time, so we'll get some updates before that. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.